Hi. My name is Dominic. I'm Purity's husband. I'm in real estate. I'm also into tour and travel, and I'm so glad to be here talking about love. We've been married for almost 6 years, and we thank God for this far.
Hi, I'm Purity Mudhoni Thuku. Thuku is my husband. I'm born again, first of all. I work as a financial advisor, and I'm so happy to be here talking about love and marriage.
We met in church.
Yeah.
We belong to the same church. That was back in
2011.
almost 7 years ago.
10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are almost 8 years ago, yeah. So we met in church. I used to visit the church. She was a full-time member. I used to come. I used to know the pastor, and then I joined them. And then from there, that's the time now we started, first of all, fellowshipping together. Nothing much. She was just a sister. I was a brother. But until each point when the Lord opened my eyes, and then here she was, and I noticed this girl.
What happened? At that time I was in a group called Get On. This group, we were with them in campus. And then when we went to church, we were like, should I say, people used to zero graze. Like, we never used to notice people outside the group. So now I could see this other guy from I don't know where, but we never used to interact then. But I could notice he's a guy who looks so liberal, you know. He doesn't look religious. So I realized there's this guy who even used to come with a cape to church. And I'm thinking, is this guy even saved to start with? So it took a while before I started seeing him as a potential. So actually what happened, time flew, like around maybe a year or so, before one time pastor introduced him to me. That time I was the praise and worship coordinator of my church, and he held his hand. He never used to be committed. He was a very serious football fan. So he used to sit at the back near the door where ikifika masaa ya football, he runs away. So I think the pastor used this as a way to have him committed to church. So he brought him and told me, Purity, this is Dominic. I want him to join the praise and worship team. Now it's up to you to follow up on him. So it's like scales fell off my eyes, and I realized, wow, this guy is handsome, and he's actually everything I had ever thought of a potential husband, you know. He's tall. I like his eyes a lot. Oh. And I noted that immediately, like, oh, he has really cute eyes. Oh. And pastor was talking about this guy joining praise and worship team, but I was feeling my heart warming up already. I didn't say it then, but I took his number. But now that was the beginning of our communication as friends. But I had noted immediately that, wow, there's so much in this guy. Yeah.
I used to know this very cute girl, and I'm born again, so she must have belonged to someone. And they had a group, she was saying, called Get On. So they used to be together and stuff like that. So I used to know this is already taken, but she was very beautiful. And I just didn't want my eyes to stray and look beyond there. But I used to notice her. She was very beautiful. And then she was somehow eloquent. She's si tumetoka mashambani kidogo. And then, but whenever she speaks, she's very articulate. The customer service voice. Then you are feeling this lady is so sophisticated. But you can just admire like that and just walk away. So I used to keep my distance, but I used to notice her. And then when now I got close to her, that's when I got to realize the other characters about her. I used to even fear maybe shaking her hands. Even that time we were not maybe interacting, I would greet almost everyone and then just disappear because she just looked too fly for me, maybe something like that. But little did I know that God was up to something. And as I said, our pastor, unknowingly, is the one who started the first steps for us to pick it up from there. And boy, whenever I am put on the spot, and then I was able to, when I knew that all the other guys were just security men, I grabbed the chance, and here we are.
I can say from the first date, we knew. I would look at the way he was talking, the way he was, he's a very, should I say this, he's a very romantic guy.
No.
From the word go, just from the greeting and how he would make me feel, it was just perfect. You know, he was everything I had ever looked for in anyone I ever dated, but now a complete package and more. And I noticed that right from the first date. So from that first date, I knew it, I felt it, that this man is the one. And I could tell he knew it, he felt it the same way, because it was so mutual.
The first date we had was, because she's also a very, she doesn't like people beating around the bush. And I was somehow very apprehensive on how I'm going to introduce it. So the day I texted her and told her, I think I'm in love with you. The first date. And then she told me, let's meet in town. And I told her, let's meet in town. So we met in town. And I was just this student leaving class and just rushed there. She was leaving job. So we met there. And that's the time now we made it formal. And she told me, now tell it to my face. And there I was, and I went all out. She made me rap. I was
I love you,
no, kind of like that. But I almost became a poet. That day, I just let all the words that have been suppressed in my system for several years. Now I let them loose, and we started off there. Proposal. There's a way we connected about with our first date. So when now we started, we hit it off and we started. Our eyes were very futuristic, and we knew from the time we were dating, we were ready, and this was what God's will was. So of course we had played about it. Me, I was very afraid. You know, it's good, especially for Christian. There's those things you see with the eyes, but it's good to ask the Lord, because the Bible talks about a good wife coming from the Lord. So we had to pray. Although I was praying with fear, because what if the Lord say no, and I'm already so gone?
Part we agreed, because that was more, it was a 2-in-1 proposal. It was a let me date you, but I'm dating you towards marriage. So actually, are we doing this? And when we agreed, let's take a day and pray and fast about it. Before we even get into the relationship, let's pray about it.
But now we had that the semi-formal one at the same place. I was saying Garitos. We had a certain connection. Most of our milestone, we used to meet there. Partly because, as I was saying, she was working, I was not, and therefore maybe something very big I couldn't afford it. But we had a nice small and moderate proposal at that place, and she said yes. And we went all out. In fact, after the proposal, we set out to sit about, now let's talk about our future. And we started, I think that time she flipped out a piece of paper and a pen. And we started even planning about where do we want to live? How much, what do we have in our house and stuff like that. We started planning from that day onward. We planned backward from the future coming towards the wedding day.
Now, for me, I could say the best moments of our dates were any time we would meet, wherever. Because as he was saying about texting, and when we started communicating, from then on, it's like we were on a roll. We were living in each other's space almost 24 hours. And at times, I would wake up in the morning and find that, oops, we were texting, and then I slept. It was that continuous. And then at one point, this man doesn't fear commitments. At one point he said, you know what, I'll be waking you up 5 in the morning. So I even set off my alarm. such that he used to call me at exactly 5. So the fact that he used to live basically in my space, the highlight of it was when we would meet. I can't say it was one specific time, but anytime I would see him, my world would be complete, wherever. So we would go to maybe picnic sites. In KU, there used to be this place called Culture Village. We would meet there after work, and him from the library. It's so twisted. So we'd meet there and talk a lot, and we would talk heart to heart. Paradise Lost, yes. We used to go to Paradise Lost, and we would talk heart to heart. And for me, those moments were priceless. And to this day, they are the basis for our friendship. Because that time we were broke to the bone, you know. Because when I say we, even if I had money and he didn't have money, I used to feel like we're in the same situation. There's no way I could say I'm rich when he's not. It was, even then, for me, it was our money. Now, they are best moments because today when we relive those moments, they are beautiful. You know, we can laugh about it. We can joke about those moments when we had nothing, but we know we have come from the grassroots together. Dating is normally taken too casually. But what we would say is that when hearts merge, parting becomes a very hard thing. The basic of all these things is that when someone is born again, and it's important for everyone, be born again. Because God is the author of our lives. And author means he has written down every chapter of our lives. And that means he also has the right person for me. So when I'm born again, I know that for me to get the right partner, I'm supposed to first pray about it. Because there's a verse in, is it Jeremiah, that says the heart of a man is deceptive. Who can understand it? So my heart can lie to me that what I need for a husband is a tall, dark and handsome guy with money. When the Lord has this broke guy who has a very good heart and has everything. You know, what I saw in this man is potential. At one point he was joking about it in Kikuyu and saying, you know, that means yes, you knew I was broke, but it's like you knew somehow along the way something would come out of me. But that wasn't the thing. What drove me to loving him even more was the fact that I knew I had God's approval. And so I went all out, and I knew I'm into this to stay. So what I would advise young people who are dating, first of all, seek the will of God, you know. And I was saying being born again is the basics, because you cannot speak French, let me say fluently, when you're not French. So you first have to be French for you to speak that French. So the same way, you can't speak God's language if you're not a child of God.
Yeah, so for me, what I can say is dating and generally relationship is geared towards a certain end. And I think in God's mind it's supposed to be to marriage. And if you go from the beginning, marriage was not even man's idea. Adam had not even realized he was alone. He was a cool guy tending the garden until God realized this guy is not good for him to be alone. So therefore he instituted that institution. It's the oldest institution we have. And now, since that's where it all started from, the devil has a problem with anything God had instituted. And that's why relationship has become very casual. And especially now I'll speak in the institution where people are born again, because Christ become now the foundation to so many things about life. Even us, there's so much advice we can give on a personal state. But for us, we get all our inspiration from what God expects of us.
It was beautiful, very beautiful. I could say it was the happiest day of my life. What I used to feel for him, it was almost overwhelming to think that one day I'll walk down the aisle to him and become his wife forever. So when that day came, it's like I still hadn't quite grasped what exactly was happening. There were so many people for the wedding. It was overwhelming and it was beautiful. When, you know, in my family, they are strict parents and we are brought up in the church. And the word boyfriend was a taboo in our home. But here they are, my mom and dad, holding my hands, walking me towards who has been my boyfriend, you know. It was just beautiful.
Wow.
And I walked down the aisle, we said our vows. I was actually so emotional. And that day, like at the end of the day, I was looking at my ring and thinking, oh my God, I'm married to the man of my dreams. It was a beautiful day. The day turned out so well. It was supposed to rain heavily. Actually, if you look at our photos, the reception photos, the cloud was literally hanging just here above us. But it waited until the wedding was over. Then it started raining when everything was done and we were on our way for the honeymoon. It was beautiful.
You know, when everyone left, that's the time in reality, like I realized even her parents left her behind, and they have left her with me, and then it's thrown on me like, these guys are serious. Yeah. They have left me with this beautiful girl and she's all mine, and oh my God, it was so awesome. So awesome. Yeah. And I thank God for that day. For me, I think it was now a moment of when things dawned, and here I'm natoka, I got to work, then I come back, and then when I reach home, that's the time I realized there's someone at home. I was used to doing some things for myself, and I used to find it like me. By there, from the beginning, I was somehow organized. I was trying to do my own things and stuff like that. Here I'll have to remind myself, oh my God, we don't have to do this anymore. Here clothes, like I'm trying to think, this one is not very dirty. See, I can cycle it. Then I try to kunja it, and it's so, no, that one you just wear it. Put it here, and I'm like, oh, it's not me who is washing it. So it was I had to adapt to that life. But one of the things that stood up, especially for me as a man, now it became real that now here you have to now start being, you are the vision carrier, you are the head of the family, you have to issues of providing and stuff like that, drawing a vision for this home. Yet here I was saying, as I was saying now, during my time of marriage, I was part-timing, and I would spend the whole day on the road back to Thika. Then you know you are not getting paid every month, so we have to find a way. When that money come after 4 months, we settle some things and then be able to even spread her money. So I had to, God give me a lot of wisdom even on issues of being a manager. And I bless the Lord, because from the beginning, as we never had issues of our status, she's having money, our background and stuff like that. We used to come together and agree, put the money on the table, we agree this is tithe, this is what we are going to do, this is what we are going to give the parents, or we are going to do this and that, and this is for the budget, rent, everything and that. So we had a very good agreement all those months, and she used to stand with me, and I used to be a guy who would do anything to provide. I used to sell popcorn. I'm a lecturer, leave the class with a suit, come and put up my popcorn machine and start popping it. And you know, sometimes people around there used to think I'm in the intelligence, because they think you can be serious. But for me, that's the reason I had to do that, because as a man, you have to do what you have to do. And you see, women, generally, women are supposed to get a vision, someone who has a vision. So therefore, I had to show my wife that as much as I'm not making it, I have this is what I want, this is a desire I have to provide for the family.
He mentioned at one point that our backgrounds were very different. Myself, I'm brought up just here in town, in Kahawa. So, my mom, being a teacher, was more interested in us studying. So since we were 0, we used to have house helps. So we never used to be the ones doing the cooking, the washing. What we needed to do is just study and excel. So here I am, and I have to do housework, which I never used to do. So the first few days I was very enthusiastic. I mean, I'm a wife, I have a husband. So I take the clothes for yesterday, naosha, the vyombo, naosha, but that lasted for like 1 or 2 days. Then I realized this is not gonna stop. I am trapped with this housework and stuff. And at times I was thinking, you know, when we got married, I can say now we were broke for real, because we have to pay rent, we have to pay fares and all that, and bills. So that little money that we used to go out, now we are using it to pay bills, and it was not enough. So I used to think, chini ya maji, should I get a woman to come and do all the washing, all the cooking? By the time he comes, everything is ready and I'm there looking all happy. But I'm thinking the money won't be enough. So I started being like frustrated, and I'm wondering, why isn't he, should I say, a co-wife? Like when I'm washing, you go wash the utensils. When I'm cooking, you arrange the sitting room or just something. I just want to feel like my life hasn't changed alone. Well, he was very supportive. But the kind of support a husband offers, should I say it's part-time? He would wash vyombo today, then the next time ataosha vyombo the weekend, then the next time ataosha vyombo like 2 weeks later. And to him, he's feeling, but I'm supporting you. But me, I was feeling trapped at first. But now with time, I started really appreciating, because I also realized some of the things I used to handle head on, now I had someone who would handle them for me. Like now the other day I was, our car was clamped and I was the one with it. I realized it's as simple as I call him, sit, pigia mwenye alinipakia umpigie kelele, and then nakata simu and I know mine is sorted. Or I call him and tell, by the way, gari imeklampiwa and I know I'm sorted. So I started appreciating the value of a husband. It's like a wall around you. There's that security. He doesn't even have to handle people or thieves or whatever, but you just feel there's that security. So as I started appreciating the value of a husband in my life, and plus status, so much changes when you get married. People used to see me as, you know, that girl and anyone anakukatia. But now when they see a ring, hata mwenye anakukatia, they have to up their game. They know they're dealing with someone's wife, you know. And of course they don't expect a yes from you. So there's that level of respect, not just from young guys and all that, but even from the society. They realize this is a married woman with responsibilities. And so when I started appreciating these issues, I also started appreciating my role as a wife.
For me, as I said from the beginning, marriage is a God's idea. It's not even a good idea. It's a God's idea. And in God, you can be sure whatever is in His will is good, pleasing, and perfect. The book of Hebrews chapter 13 says that marriage should be honored by all. That is very clear. And sometimes it doesn't talk about a husband should be honored by all, or a wife should always be honored by all. Sometimes we are not honorable. There's a day, because I'm human, she should not maybe be so happy at me and have done something, and I'm human, the same way for her. So when you talk about, when you are just read, and that's why I'm saying the importance of having God in the middle, is because He gives you a certain focus that goes beyond an imperfect person. People, there's a saying that says that marriage is a perfect institution that is made by imperfect people. So the institution itself is honorable. And therefore, there's a time you need to put the institution even above yourself. That I know I made a commitment into this relationship. It is honorable. So you realize sometimes there's a moment you have to apologize for something that you didn't do for the sake of the institution you are in. So as long as you are in marriage, God is there to honor it. He loves marriages. And therefore, seek Him. And also have a mentality, this is eternal. I have to deal with whatever is harming, and this institution is more honorable than me, it's more honorable than her. It's not about her. Even the day she's not as honorable, I have an institution. Even the day I'm not honorable, she can keep it until something comes and kindle. And then when the feeling comes, and then we are back on the track.
First of all, I can say marriage is beautiful when it's done God's way. And yes, challenges will come. But on the bright side, challenges come to sharpen us. You know, iron sharpens iron. And you know, iron is dangerous. Iron can cut you, can hurt you. But now when iron sharpens iron, it means myself without God, I can be this very bad person. Same thing with Him. But now when God is in the picture, we become iron that sharpens iron. We become wiser for life. So marriage, yes, is not a bed of roses in this sense that I came from north, he came from west or south. So trying to merge our differences to become one, there's definitely friction every now and then. But now I'm looking at it this way, this friction comes to smoothen us and make us better. So if anyone ever sees anything wonderful about my husband, it's because he has also been somewhere sharpened. If there's anything good to see in me, I've been somewhere where I've been sharpened and made better for this life and also for my marriage. So marriage is beautiful. Yeah. Aja. Najua. I know. If I know, I know.
So Purity, you are the love of my life, my best friend. You know, they say that a man need a friend, need a lover, need a confidant. But now when you have the three in one, it's a blessing. And I have the three. You are my best friend, you are my confidant, you are my support system, and you are the mother to my children. And I really appreciate you. I appreciate the love that you give me. I'm not perfect, but any time you have ever concentrated, you have only concentrated on my strength. You only want to make me better. I have had bad days, but I always look forward to coming home because I know I'll have a support system at home. And you have made me a better person because when I met you, I had no experience with marriage. But now it has become this thing that I look forward to tomorrow. What does tomorrow has to offer with you by my side? And I believe and I trust God that our good days are not behind us, they are in front of us. So I am waiting with anticipation what Lord is going to do in our midst, in our family. And I believe and I want to promise you that I will always treasure you, I will always love you, I will always be there for you, for better and for better and for better
and for best
and for the best. Because if the Lord was, I don't think he's there, but we are together, and I believe that baby, you have my back, and I count on you, and I love you and I cherish you.
No.
God bless you.
Oh. Dominic Thuku, my love.
Yeah, baby.
I love you so much, and you're the best thing that happened in my life in Christ. And this far, I am spoiled with love. And thanks so much for your support. It's priceless. You have allowed me to venture into places I would never have ventured alone. I really treasure your support and your love. You're one unique person, very unique person. And the way you love me is just so unique. I have never experienced this ever. You're the best father. I love the way you play with the kids. I love the way after that you still have time for me. You never compromise on family. And you're so generous. You are so generous. I know at times I can be a spendthrift, and at times I thought you could give up on me and think now you have your own account, but you always come back to the table, teach me how to do things, and I really appreciate. You're one of a kind, and I'm in this to love you forever, and in this to stay. And I pray that I'll always be that heaven that you come back to, and your support forever. And I love you so much.
I love you too.
And you're the best.
Thank you.
Yes.